Do you have regrets? Are you going to die? Do you not
Yeah.
want to have regrets when you die? Well, you're
Both are
in
true.
luck. Well, you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to die with no regrets or the regrets of the dying. This is the Existential Stoic podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Randy?
Yeah. So, Danny,
You
this
a
is
person?
something. I know. Are you a person? Are you mortal? Yeah. This is something where there's this book, Five Regrets of the Dying, and I read that a while ago, and that was like an interesting book because I like those things. But they didn't. I felt like they didn't all apply to me. So what I did was I wrote down. I imagined myself on my deathbed, looking back and being like, "What did I regret most? Like, what are the things that I didn't do the
Wait. Was the
most?"
was
Mhm.
the book like the five most common or something? Like
Yeah.
things that people regret? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I forget what they were. I didn't look it up beforehand.
I
But
didn't
anyways,
work enough. I didn't.
yeah, exactly. It was basically like I didn't live true to who I was supposed to
Yeah.
be. I didn't
Yeah.
spend enough time with my friends or whatever. And uh, so that was basically what it is. And I was like, I think that there are ones that were probably more relevant for me. And if I
Stupid
can
ones like
remind
that.
myself, yeah, I know, right? And and if I can remind myself of this on a regular basis, there's probably a good chance I might be able to avoid some of these regrets when I do come to die.
Yeah, I mean the only way to avoid regrets, right, is to be aware of them and make sure you do them when the time is in the present.
Yeah.
You know? So you don't
Are
regret it
you
later.
are you I'm going to ask this because for me the answer is absolutely. But are you conscious on a regular basis of like not wanting to have regrets now when you get older? Like I find all these things in life where I don't want to do something now that I'll regret later. So, do you find that for yourself?
Yeah, it's more like I think like associated with like not doing
Mm-hmm.
something like I'll
Mm-hmm.
regret if I don't do it. So that kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tends to be very I tend to think of it more in those contexts, I think. Because I think it's a way to
Mm-hmm.
remind myself that I should, or that I should, do it now because now's the time.
Yeah,
Nothing like
yeah,
the
I
present.
agree with you there. It's better to do things than to not do them, with the exception of a few things. Like going to prison, you might regret that. Or like, you know,
Or at least
killing
something
yourself,
related
you might regret that. So there are a few border cases. But anyways,
to
we've each got a few regrets that we'll go through and then we'll discuss them. So I will start first since this was my idea.
Sure.
And my first one was I wish I didn't waste so much time trying to figure it out. So,
Good one.
yeah, so I can't tell you how often I'm trying to control the future, something that hasn't happened yet, that there's no way to control. I'm just busy in my mind, like stressing, trying to control this future that I cannot.
Yeah, it's hard. And you know what's funny too? I would also add to that because when you mentioned that, the first thing I thought of too was like I feel like it took me so long to get to a place where I started to live in the way that was like better for me. And there are times when I regret I didn't do that sooner. Now I can't change it. It is what it is, right? And I'm glad I'm doing it now. So it's like, but there is that, it's like you wish you kind of started earlier or like we're on the ball right from the gate because it would have been a lot smoother, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
overall.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, even though I've had this regret written down for a while, I still, on a regular basis, try and control the future. And then I catch myself and I smack my hand and I say, "Stop it."
Stop. Just stop. It's hard too because that one's tough because I think I do the same thing too, where you get caught up in it and then it takes you out of the moment and you get stressed out and worried and frustrated and all about things that you have no control over. And I think that's one of
Mhm.
the hardest ones is like, staying within the realm of what we can control is difficult because your
Mhm.
imagination just runs wild.
Yeah, there was one episode the other day where I was so stressed out because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get a ride to where I needed to go later that day. And it was in the morning that I was literally like, I got up out of bed and that was on my mind, like stressing me out pretty much the whole day. That am I gonna? And then when it came time to get the ride, had it instantaneously, no problem, just gone.
No
And
problem.
it was just, but like I spent the whole entire day just trying to figure it out, stressed about it.
Huh. You have to
Yeah,
really wanted to get out of wherever you were.
yeah.
My first one is, you know, I that I didn't spend enough time with like the people that I really love, like present with them. And I think that is an important one because I feel this conflict all the time where like, do you want to do these things and you want to achieve things and you want to like whatever you want to do, in life. And it all takes time, lots of time. And so balancing that and managing your time so that you're also like, living a full life, enjoying time with friends, enjoying time with loved ones, you know, not taking them for granted, showing them that they matter in your life, making that clear. Like that's all stuff I really do worry about because it's like, it's not always, it's so easy to just like especially when you see people every day, it's so easy to like take people for granted, assume they'll be there the next day, that kind of thing. And then it's like, yeah, it's very hard to
Yeah.
keep in the present.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that it's I mean, I'm sure people have said this throughout all entire history, but
Yeah.
it's like there's more going on now than ever before. And that's
Yeah.
probably been true throughout the entire course of
Yeah.
history. But it's
Yeah.
like there's so many things that everyone's juggling. And so it makes taking time with those relationships difficult because
Yeah.
you're trying to earn a living, you're trying to pursue some hobbies, you're trying to, passive income, drive Uber, whatever it is. So, yeah. So
Oh
you got
God.
all these things going on, and yeah, it's just difficult to do that.
And on top
But
of that, there's like a billion distractions. There's like,
mm,
there's everything else. And then it's like, and then, and like you said too, there's so much going on too that it's hard, even when you do have time, like whether they have time and like, managing that. So
mhm.
it is, yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah, and that actually relates very well to my second one, which is I wish I spent more time doing what I love, surrounded by people I love. And so
Good one.
this is spending time with people you love, like you mentioned, but it's also doing stuff that I love. And how I've kind of implemented this in my life is finding communities of like-minded people who like to do activities that I like to do.
That's a good way to
So
do it. Yeah.
yeah, so that's worked really well for me because we're all doing stuff that I want to do anyways. And especially if I can do it regularly, I get to see the same people over and over again, get to have a connection with them, ask how their life is going, follow up on that stuff in the future. So it becomes more of a community than just this thing that I'm doing.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. So it kind of helps you to do those things, those activities that you actually enjoy and keep you motivated to do them when you have others to do them with. That's really good.
Mhm.
I've always heard that because people always recommend that, like if you have a hobby you like, but you don't know anybody that does it, find a group that does it, because there's always groups that do things like that. And then you have like plans and actual dates. So you'll actually go do it instead of just think about it.
Yeah, and like I know from there were times in my life where it was like really hard to find groups, particularly because I was living in places and maybe they didn't have that or whatever. But
Yeah.
also it can be if there aren't groups, it can be helpful to start groups. Because I remember when I was going to school down in the Caribbean, I wanted to swim on a regular basis and I wanted a group of people who were swimming on a regular basis and I couldn't find one. So I started one and I just started asking everybody I knew if they wanted to swim and I would drive them to the beach in the morning. And every morning we would go swimming. And it started this club where, every day we were going swimming down at the beach.
Yeah, I started a couple clubs in college for the same reason because I wanted people to do activities, right, with, and it's like it's a great way to do it. Because if you have the idea, somebody else does too, probably, or like would be interested in it. Because it's usually, a hobby or something that's enjoyable like that. So yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
That actually goes on my second one is, I worry that I wouldn't have enough, and this is kind of, I guess, a general worry, but like enough free time to explore like new things,
Uh,
try things out, like because said it before, but like every choice you make is a choice not to do other things, right? So like how we manage our time, it's not always, we're in control, but to a certain extent, like we also have to do things we just have to do. Like you have to live, you have to eat, you have to go to work, whatever. And so, do we have enough free time to like take advantage of things that we might not even know we would have wanted to do or wanted to enjoy or whatever because we've never experienced it.
so like I didn't regret that I explored enough.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
curious. You know how we talked about that explore exploit paradox, how like,
yes.
there's both sides. Where do you find yourself naturally falling on that? More of the exploit phase or more of the explore? And while you think about that, for people who don't know, basically you can explore finding out new things, or you can exploit, which is doing the things that you found that you tend to enjoy. And so there's kind of like both ends, and sometimes you get stuck one way or the other. So I was curious, where do you find
I tend
yourself?
to get stuck in the explore,
Oh, so you
which I
do
did.
explore a lot.
Yeah, I like all kinds of different things, and it's always been, which is good in a lot of ways, but it's also problematic because, it's easy to jump from one thing to the next rather than spending more time actually, because the exploit part of that is important because it also means you're getting better. Like,
Hmm.
you're also developing those skills, you're putting them in practice, you're doing things with them. And so I feel like I can fall or lean more heavily to the explore sometimes. Yes, I think that it can be problematic.
Yeah, I find myself more on the exploit phase of it. Like I wear the same thing every day. I eat the same food every day. Like if I don't have to, I will just do the same thing every single day.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I do that too with a lot of things. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that, but like, just like, I don't know, it's tough. Like, it's hard because I don't always know what those things are, but like going to new places, doing new things like that, I think is always good to just see things from different perspectives.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's a tough
good.
one.
Yeah, so yeah, I can relate to that, thinking that there's stuff that I should have done that I didn't do. I've never I've never really regretted trying something. Like
No,
I
right.
always just try it and, best case scenario, I love it. Worst case scenario, I hate it. But I only have to try it once.
On a side, what helped me with so much with that too? It's trying new things. It's like I remember a long time ago, I made a mental decision like I'm not going to judge it until I do it. Because like so many things you won't do just because you're like, that'd be stupid or whatever. You
Hmm.
have some preconceived conception of it. And like, yes, sometimes you may not like it, but like at least experience it first before you make the judgment. And that is so helpful.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
is.
that is a really good one because there's been a number of times I've been wrong about by prejudging things.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. So my next one is I wish I had let go of my grievances earlier and more completely.
Oh,
So yeah, so like I because listen, I hold grudges, resentments, angers towards
yeah, you
people,
do.
and I know, and I think that like, oh, this is really serving. This is showing them, and really, it's just ruining my life. Like
Yeah.
I remember, I remember I was listening to some dude talking about how for like 30 years he was dragging these a-holes around with him, thinking that he was making their life miserable, and meanwhile his life was miserable. And I was like, damn, that's me.
Yeah. That's a good one though, I think. Because like how many people get caught up in that and like, you know, angry at other people, mad all the time. And it's like you're not making your life better. You're not helping your situation. And why? Why even carry it anyway, right? Things
Mhm.
happen. Just let it go.
Because chances are they don't care about it.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the angry guy going dying, mad at the
Right.
world and everybody else.
Yeah, having all your reasons and everything. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a tough
Mhm.
one too. Um, what else? Oh, I have one that I wear, and this is just more of a general worry too, like that I might have prioritized the wrong things. And I think this goes
Oh,
back to like, because this is a tough one because you don't know always, right? And
yeah.
like, this goes back to like, because like I was thinking about it like earlier, both of us in our lives, right? We were on a course that really wasn't right for us, and so like, but you didn't know at the time. You thought you were doing the right thing, and it's like, so that kind of is like it's a general fear I have sometimes. That, like, am I prioritizing the wrong thing? How do I know? And like.
Yeah.
So I think that also goes with the exploration thing, like, because you don't want to wake up 10 years later and be like, shit, I shouldn't have done that. That
Yeah.
wasn't really for me. And I think the way to try and combat that is to really get clear that it's for you and your reasons and why you want to do it. But even that's not always easy to get to the bottom of.
Dude, that's a scary one because you hear these stories about people who are dying and they're like, oh, I wasted my life. And it's just like, that's frightening.
Hal,
Like,
tell us, how did you waste your life?
that is
Yeah.
frightening. So, like, I don't want to get there. And one thing that I kind of do now to help allay some of the fears about that happening to me is I say, where I am right now, am I okay if I were to die right now? And it's like, sure, I'd love to do more stuff, but looking at all the stuff that I've done and accomplished, I'm pretty damn happy to die right now. So I think that's if you can if my thought process is if I can do that today and consistently do that into the future, then
Yeah.
when I do get to my deathbed, I'll be okay because I'll be already ready to die. Whereas like I think we were talking in our quick fix this week about some guy with his bucket list and he's in his 80s. Time to
Yeah.
start doing that. Like my bucket list, I'd try and do that stuff as soon as possible. If I want to do something, I try and do it as soon as possible. Because who knows? You may not be around next year.
Well, yeah, it's like I said, I think bucket lists are a way to put things off rather than to just do them. And you should just do them because you also don't know. Like it always cracks me up because so many people I've met who have bucket lists, it's always traveling and stuff. And it's like you're gonna wait till you're 80 to travel, really, instead of doing it now. Like, because you might not want to go there. Because first of all, you might not want to take a 24-hour plane ride when you're that old. The plane seats are going to get more and more confined by that point. They'll be like a little shoebox. And you might not have the physical capabilities or abilities to do it on your own or anything. So you don't know what life's going to bring. So just get it out of the way now if you want to do it.
Yeah, not to mention places are getting more and more crowded. So like
Yeah.
if you wait 30, 40 years, you're gonna be in this packed little sardine can. I remember I went and I visited Prague, and this was probably one of the most like sardine can experiences I ever went because
Oh,
I went
really?
during summertime. Yeah.
Uh,
So I was
yeah,
there
it's a
in the
popular
summertime.
destination. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it's little narrow streets. And it was literally like two giant masses of
Ah,
sardines moving past each other.
yeah.
And it was not a pleasurable vacation experience. And if you keep on waiting for vacationing, it's just going to get more and more
Yeah.
and more people because people are getting wealthier. And as they get wealthier, they travel more.
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, that's horrible. I don't like. Yeah, I hate when places are that packed. It's too much.
Hmm.
You can't do
Yeah.
anything either. You can't do anything you want. It's like it's just frustrating.
My favorite picture from there, they have this giant clock in the middle of the square. And so every hour or something, it moves somehow. And so I was there at the hour and everybody was taking pictures of the clock. And I took a picture of all the people taking pictures. There were like thousands of people taking pictures of this clock. And I got the picture of the people taking
Oh,
pictures.
that's a
It
good
was,
one.
yeah, that was fun.
People are ridiculous.
Is it your turn or my
I
turn?
don't
I have no
remember.
idea.
Yeah, you go
Yeah.
ahead.
I did my third one. Did you do your third one?
I think so. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah,
Okay,
I did.
cool.
I did. Yeah.
All right. So number four, I wish I had confronted my fears earlier.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So like there have been a lot of things that I've been very, very scared of in life, very fearful of. And pretty much I can say almost with a resounding everything that I've confronted, it was really nothing. Like it was just something that I need to get on the other side of.
Yeah.
And but a lot of these things held me back for a long time. And so I don't really want to go to my deathbed still having fears that I haven't confronted. So, yeah.
You know, it's funny. I'm gonna say my next one because it's the same thing
All
basically.
right. All right.
That one of the things I do fear is that I'll regret things that I didn't do because of limiting beliefs, which is same, fears that,
Mm,
I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be good enough. And I think you're right. Like I wish that's one of those things where they sneak up on you too sometimes if you're not aware of it. And
mm-hmm,
like it can keep you or trick you into thinking that you have a reason for not doing something when you really don't. It's just you're just afraid of it. And when you do it, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like once you and it's always the case. Every time it's been the case, it's been true.
dude,
Living
limiting
that.
beliefs are crazy because they're not true, but we are so convinced that they are true. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we talked about this before, but like what I'm doing now, when I was a child, I thought that this was the one thing I could not do. Like I
Yeah.
thought a lot of things were possible, but this I could not do. And even when I started doing this, I was like, I'm probably just gonna fail this, but what the hell, I'm gonna die anyways. And then now I'm doing it, and I'm just like, this is freaking incredible. Like, whoa.
Well, it's funny too, because it's like I think one of the problems is we always, when we look at like, say things we want to do, it's so easy to look at the top examples, right, in that area or whatever. And it makes it such a far gap that it seems impossible. Like, there's no way I could be that person because they're at the top of their field. They might have been doing it for 40 years or so, like, yeah, you're not there yet, obviously. But like, I think it's important to remember that if somebody can do it, you can do it. Like we're all basically fundamentally just people. We're the same. It might take
Mhm,
work. It might take a lot of work, but you can definitely do it. And you might, yeah. I mean, I might not be the best at it, but at least I can do it. Like there's no reason to
mhm.
not try.
But there's a good chance you probably won't be the worst.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
have take heart. There's someone worse than you. Uh,
But yeah, I think that's like I think that's something probably everybody I imagine would regret, right? Is that like, your own fears would prevent you from living the life you want. which would
Hmm.
be terrible. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So my last one would be I wish I had developed an unflappable belief in myself at a younger age.
good one.
Yeah. So like a lot of times in life, I just lack the self-confidence. And it's not that I don't have all these storied examples of successes in my history. It's just for one reason or another, I'm like, oh no, I just can't, I'm not good enough. Like there's that thought that comes up. And it's just like, man, I hope I get through that before I die because I mean, proven I can pretty much do anything. I
Mhm.
can't fly yet, but who knows what the future holds,
Yeah,
you know?
never know.
Yeah.
Well, it
Yeah.
is, but it's funny too because it's like, you let others, you worry about others too, and you let their beliefs, their thoughts kind of infiltrate, and then you feel like you have to change yourself because of that, and it just, it throws you all off, right? And it's, I think most people would want that, right? To not be so influenced by the outside, to just do what they want to do and have that confidence to be able to do it, right? And realize that you can do it, that there's nothing holding you back.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so that would be nice. But, even if it's not an unflappable belief, I still think that, just having faith in myself and the future is good enough. And that's something that I can practice on a regular basis because it's like that Marcus Aurelius thing that we talk about, where you can have anything you want by a circuitous route if you'll just let go of the past, have faith in the future, love what is, and be present or act right. And yeah, so I just try and have faith in the future that things will work out because normally the default routine in my brain is that things are going to get really bad in the future, and that very rarely happens. And when it does, I can handle it.
Yeah, I always wonder why is that? It's so funny because I feel the same way. Like, why is that our default? Was it like a weird like mechanisms for survival? Like, worry
Dude,
about the winter
definitely.
because you won't have food, so store more, And like now it got
Definitely.
translated into some weird like the
Well, the
future's
guys
always
the
scary.
guys who were just dancing around in circles during the summer, they probably all died. And the people who were
Yeah,
worried because, oh, we just got out of a frozen winter, there might be another one of those, they ended up surviving and
that's true. Yeah.
reproducing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny. It's like that worry. And we don't know the future. We can't know it. So there's the unknown. It makes it scary, right? You don't know what's gonna
Hmm.
happen.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And dude, the media or the attention grabbing media loves to just have these things about the terrors of the future and what could really happen, recessions and all this stuff, because that's how they know how to grab our attention. Like
Yeah.
they know we're bred for that.
Emotion, right? Emotions.
Hmm.
My last one actually goes with that, which is I guess I wish I didn't waste so much time worrying about things that I couldn't change. And like I think this is a good one because like both like think about like the news, world events that are going on there, things like that, and you know so much of the media tries to make us think the world's like ending at all times, and the stress that that can cause, but also just like even in your own lives, things that that in your past that have happened that you cannot change, like wasting all that energy stressing and worrying about it, it doesn't make the present better or it doesn't make the future better. It keeps you in that past, right? Or it keeps you stuck in that. So yeah, not wasting time with that.
That is a great one. I was talking with you earlier about how somebody ruffled my feathers this week, and I was
Yeah.
just worrying way too much about it. And then I realized, they only have so many fucks to give, and this is not
Yeah.
one. And and then I started reading that book again, The Subtle Art of Making Every Book Have F star CK on the cover.
God. Oh my God.
And
Everyone. After that came out, it's like the whole, it's so funny because it goes to film section, all of them. It's like,
they should
has to
just
have an
they should just
asterisk.
make a section that's like F star CK, and it just has all the books.
It's just a big
Oh,
asterisk.
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Uh, I mean, but that book was great because it talked about how, you only have so many cares you can give in a day.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so that was a helpful reminder for me that yeah, I only do have so many. And it's so clearly obvious now that like this is something that is completely of not of interest to me in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things. It's not even one of like my top five things that I'm interested in. So wasting that much mental energy on it was a waste.
Yeah, and it's hard too, because I think there's times when like, and this happens that I think everybody we're like, we get caught up with our own problems and we blow them out of proportion. And then we stress about things too in that way that like aren't important in the grand scheme of things or don't matter as much as we're making them out to matter. And that can also
Hmm.
be, I think, bad, you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
because stress is not
Yeah.
good for us.
Oh no, definitely not. So talking about how stress is not good for us, it turns out that nobody gets out alive, from what I
No,
hear. And yeah, so like we talk about the regrets of the dying, and it's like when I imagine it, I'm like, yeah, I'm on my deathbed, I'm looking back. But that's generally not the way that things go nowadays. Nowadays, people they get cancer or something, and then they try and fight it, and they fight the good fight, and then So how I'm in terms of these regrets, is this something that you should wait for, or is this something that should be addressed today?
oh, I just today. I think it's a good exercise to think about like it's a good exercise to kind of remind yourself like what really matters to you, maybe to think about these things. But no, they should be addressed now. Yeah, don't wait. You don't want to
Hmm.
have them. That's the goal is not to have them, right? And I think you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen. Like I think the point you made earlier was a good one, which is like, you know, we also don't know when we're going to die. So kind of trying to live in a way where we don't face any of these regrets every day is ideal. Now you might not be there yet, so you might have to do some stuff to get there, but like ideally, try to adjust them all now because you don't know what's going to happen.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Live each day like it's your last. And one
You
of
know,
these
it's,
days you'll be right.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny too, because there's so many stories, and I know personally some people who like, had an illness that was really bad, but they did get through it, and then like their whole perspective on life changes because they did almost die, and like it was like, they were doing things before, like taking life for granted, basically, and not living the way they want it, and then they do things way differently after the fact, and it's like it's sad that you need that kind of experience.
Hmm.
Really, if you think about it, because we're so complacent and we're so quickly just take everything for granted. So I think it's sad that you need that sometimes to kind of kick you in the stomach and get you
Yeah.
going.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I'm glad you brought that up because so like the whole thing with money and saving up for retirement and everything for that, it's like there's a balance because you don't want to die with a ton of money
No,
because then you can't take it with you. But then again, you don't want to run out of money before you die.
no,
So like
also bad.
I yeah, so I have such a hard time striking that mean where it's like how can I live the best life possible now while still ensuring I'll have the money to because if I knew when I was going to die, the equation would be simple.
Yes,
But
very easy.
since that's unknown, it makes it a tricky equation.
Well, it's funny. I was reading something. I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about because it used to be the case that when people retired, like at that age, you didn't have that much longer, really, generally speaking. Like on average, most people had like, yeah, a handful of years after that. But now it's like we're living so much long. I mean, it's not uncommon for people to hit 100 now. And it's like, so it's also possible that people run out of money because they didn't plan for, 40 years or 30 years or whatever. And like, or other things, you don't know what else is going to happen. Other things happen that you might have to take care of or something. So it is really hard to know like what the sweet spot is where you're going to have what you need and, but not like excess to an extreme.
Yeah. It would make more sense if retirement age was based on life expectancy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. But it's not.
Oh well. Yeah.
Nothing that none of our regulations will make any sense. I wouldn't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't ever plan on retiring because hopefully I'll just keep on doing what I love to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Well, plus it's good.
I get extremely bored if I don't have something to do. I get restless.
Plus it's good to keep using your mind too, I think. I don't want to, I think it's good to keep trying things and learning and keep doing solving
Hmm.
problems. That'll be helpful.
Yep. Absolutely. So there you have it. How to die without regrets because we're all going to die. We've all had regrets. Hopefully, we can knock them all out so that when we do come to die, we won't have any more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows,
So
maybe even be happy or something.
that would be a
That'd be
cherry on
crazy.
top. Yeah, a cherry on top. So if you did enjoy it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching or listening. This is the Existential Stoic Podcast. Find us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.